Okay, then, frequently asked questions and answers. So I've compiled about 7 questions that you've asked frequently, and here are some of my responses. Number 1, when do you anticipate being able to hold in-person gatherings again at Good Shepherd? We are starting to work on a return strategy, and I've been asking questions of Good Shepherd members who are medical and public health pros. I trust them, and we'll be asking them more questions as we devise a return strategy. As you know, the state of Georgia is already opening up, and there's a bunch of churches with return strategies in place already, so we will be consulting them. Obviously, we'll probably start off with some smaller gatherings at first, wearing masks, what have you. A lot will depend on therapeutics and testing and tracing and all of those things being put into place. And the question is no longer going to be, what can't we do? Like, we can't gather, or we have to, stay 6 feet away from each other. But the focus is more on what can we do, and what can we do soon. Next question, what goes into the planning and execution of the virtual services? So obviously, safety first. One of the reasons why we decided not to live stream is that it can be challenging to have many people around. You lose personnel, production people, singers, readers, and support people, and you have to cut some of them out to stay within 10 people, and then the quality level of the services could draw down. Virtual services draw as close to the in-person service as possible. We can show parts of the sanctuary, things that approximate what you might see on a Sunday morning. The virtual services also provide good high-def and video and good audio. Probably, as some of you have pointed out, better now than in person. So with a good sound engineer, you can do a lot with good audio. Retakes, we try not to do them for the sake of authenticity. That's why I'm stumbling and mumbling, and we just let that go, because that's true worship. It's not about performance. Next question, what are we planning to do with these virtual services once the COVID era is over? As soon as we suspended in-person services on March 13th, we realized that we were going to have to get better with electronic forms of communication and services. And so the church, not only our church, but the church at large, will benefit from that. Good for those out of range geographically. Obviously, they can continue to connect with us. Old members, out-of-state old members who haven't yet transferred to another congregation yet, who haven't really found a good fit yet, can continue to worship with us while they're trying to find another church that really fits with their values and what they want in a congregation. Obviously, family, friends, work colleagues can be involved. You've been so good and so astute about forwarding our services, and people from all over the country have been visiting with us and worshiping with us. So thank you for that. When we're back in person worship, we can still have these virtual services so that those among us who are ill or shut in or out of town on business can join in at their convenience. So we'll continue these services in some shape or form. Next question, what are the big challenges of the congregation during these days? You know, one of the 5 languages, love languages, is spending time together. Quality, quantity of time. Laying on of hands, gathering together, shaking hands, just being up close. And we can't use much of our senses right now, the touching, the smelling, all of that up close and personal, the seeing and the hearing. So we have to depend on other ways of showing our love. That's a big challenge. Communion, obviously. Some congregations are talking about drive-by communion or on-the-porch communion or small group communion, but those all pose safety challenges. And are we missing anybody? That's another challenge before us today. Various groups contact and gather by phone or online, and that's useful, but we want to make sure that we're not missing anybody, not leaving anybody behind. So please make that extra phone call if you can and send that extra text or email, just making sure that those in your network are well and are doing well. How are the church's finances? So far, so good. There are going to be some less expenses like the water bill or HVAC is not going to be quite as high, but obviously there are going to be some less offerings, understandable during these times. But we are doing fine. The Lord is blessing, and I thank God for your generosity during these times. I'm grateful for the gifts to the Coronavirus Relief Fund. We're in position to offer some help to those among us who are really reeling financially. Besides the relief fund, we do have some extra costs, like video and audio production of our virtual services. So please keep that in mind as you consider your offerings and giving in the future. Many more have signed up for e-giving, and there are some text givers as well. So for the sake of safety, those ways of giving are probably the most optimal. If this COVID era stretch continues until we get a vaccine, how are we going to continue to communicate? Well, it's one thing to want forms of communication that are not available to us right now, but we want to deal with reality. And this is reality. Lots of emails, texts, letters, cards, great. You are so supportive of me, the staff, the core ministry leaders, the board, each other. Let's continue to do that. The Facebook page. That's a good place for not only promotions and information sharing, but also just to have fun. Have fun as a congregation. So post fun stuff, pics and videos, and that approximates church fellowship and social activities. Even I've been posting some comments and posted one video of my dog and I talking or singing to each other. So please go ahead and do that. Video conferencing. We're not all entirely comfortable with that, but that's reality, and that's probably the next best thing to in-person gatherings. Speaking on the phone more, and I'll continue to post Wednesday devotions as well, since I don't get to see you here at our facility. And maybe for Wednesday, we'll add audio or video podcasts and some music to Wednesday devotions, and we'll look at other ways to communicate. All right, final question. What are the positives during this hunkered down time? All right, number one, washing our hands, and we do it so often now. And that's a great reminder of baptism multiple times in a day. Great. Getting real or close with our family. Instead of running from each other, we're really able to get together in our hunkered down time and talk. And tell each other stories, tell each other things that we haven't told each other before. Learn to cast our burdens on God, definitely, during this time. Some of us can't even visit with our loved ones who are at hospitals or nursing homes because of rules. So this is a great time to depend on the Lord for the safety of our loved ones and generally get closer to God. Because remember that God works in good times and bad times. And if we consider this a bad time, God is working. Remember that. Also remember that we will all be blessed with using technology for ministry in the future. Once this era is over, we'll be so good with digital and electronic forms of communication, communicating the gospel. So we'll be blessed with that. Obviously, the receptivity to options and change is a lot better during these days when we all have to adjust on the fly. There are far fewer sacred cows for us to deal with, which is great. One good thing going on is the environment. As you've heard in the news, the reports are that air and water quality levels are improving. And finally, we will all be more thankful for the blessings we have. We already are because of all the things that we're missing. And finally, if you found this Q&A helpful, let me know, and we'll do some more of these in the future. So please stay safe in God's embrace.